Hey everybody, welcome to the Entrepreneur Motivation Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Bello, and today I've got Natalie Cutler-Welsh on the show. Natalie, welcome.
Thank you so much, Chris.
So great to have you. And Natalie's bio, you're known as the Up Your Brave coach and connector. You're a speaker, you're an author, and a mother of three living and running your business in New Zealand. Your area of genius is helping people to shine and amplify their impact online, on stage, and in the media. Really excited to see, what we can add to value-wise to the audience today. And I believe you're going to cover 6 steps, did you say?
I'm going to dive into 6 ways to boost your visibility.
Visibility online, on stage, anywhere, because that's really important whether you're in a corporate role, whether you're an entrepreneur or business owner. Visibility is everything. I think Gary Vee says attention is a currency, if I remember correctly.
I agree.
Awesome. So if you want to introduce yourself, go into as much detail as you like, and then we can get started on those 6 steps.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you so much. So as you guys can hear, I've got a Canadian accent, but I am genuinely very, very far away. I'm in New Zealand. I've been here half my life, so 23 years, living down under. My parents are Kiwis, and so people always say, how did you end up in New Zealand? Well, my parents are from New Zealand. We call people like that Kiwis. And so I basically just came. I went to university in Guelph, Ontario. I grew up in Toronto, and I basically wanted to discover my heritage. I moved to New Zealand for 1 year, fell in love with my future husband, and I've been back to Toronto twice in 23 years.
Wow. I was actually supposed to go to Toronto last month, but with everything going on, pushed it back a year. My cousin was supposed to get married. So You've only been to Toronto twice in the last 23 years, you said?
Yeah. Indeed.
Wow.
But I've been to many, many other countries and many other places. It's a little bit sad, but I've been to lots of conferences. I've been to America many times, Australia many times. So that's a little bit of my journey to New Zealand. But really where I started in the entrepreneurial space is I started off as a parenting author. So for those that are listening or watching that are parents, I totally hear you. Juggling the mother load, as I like to call it, of running a business while raising a family while not losing yourself in the process is not easy. So I wrote a book a couple years ago. And so that's where I started learning about social media, about visibility, about speaking, about being interviewed, getting on TV, getting on the radio. And from there, I launched my business, which is called Go-To Girl, because I'm all about connecting people with opportunities and people that they just need to meet. So that's really what I do. My area of genius is connecting people, and I love to help people shine. And what I mean by that is to amplify their impact so that they can have a massive positive impact on the world. So I really only work with impact-driven entrepreneurs, business owners, and speakers that want to change the world for good.
That's awesome. And I think it's really important to have that mission and to want to change the world. I feel like in our own way, we all want to have our impact on the world, but some entrepreneurs, they lose steam, they get a little disheartened, maybe they don't see success as fast as they would like. And it gets harder to focus on the impact because they're just trying to survive, if that makes sense. So super excited once again to have you on the show and learn how to make more impact, because that's something that I'm always trying to do. I see myself as a connector, as a networker. I feel like I have a lot of friends, but sometimes it's just like, how do I get to that connection? How do I make that introduction? So sometimes the degrees of separation, right? I think there's 7 degrees of separation is what I've heard. So you can always get to someone if you know the right person to ask and how to add value. So let's dive right into those 6 steps. I'm really excited to hear them down, and I'm going to write down some notes. So I'm not distracted if you're seeing my eyes move away from the camera. I'm just taking notes to learn from myself as well.
All good. Well, what you already dove into one of the tips, which is connections, but I'll get to that because what I use when I teach, and this is maybe a tip for people too, is to have an acronym. So I use an acronym when I teach, and it helps me remember what I'm going to say, and it helps people to remember what I said and to therefore call on it later and apply it to their business, because I'm all about action. I want people not just to listen, but I want them to, do things. So the acronym I choose is IMPACT. So you have to imagine it written down in a line, one word and one letter under the other. So let's start with I. For me, I is always intention. And I do this, if you see me, if you're not watching me, you're listening to me, I'm making a little house on top of my head with my hands. So I always say to people, this is like the thing I say all the time. What is your goal? What are you trying to achieve? What's your intention? So I is intention. So in terms of visibility or in terms of just growing your business, what is your goal? What is your intention? And so being really specific with your intention is crucial. I'm very much a strategy person in terms of know your goal and then reverse engineer and move towards it. So in terms of visibility, it would be, okay, so you want to be on TV, like why? What is that going to do for you? Oh, well, because I want to be known as an expert in my field. Great. So that what? So that I can, sell 20 of my books. Okay, awesome. And what impact is that going to have? And so we kind of do the peel the onion with the intentions. And so I really encourage people always to think about what is your intention, and let's niche that down in terms of visibility. What is your intention? So the I for my acronym includes intention as well as identity. Okay. So identity is, what do you want to be known for? And I encourage a lot of my clients or anyone listening, update your LinkedIn profile. Like if you want to be known as a guest expert, write guest expert. If you want to be a speaker, and you've done a little bit of speaking, you can write speaking. If you've done some keynote speaking, write keynote speaker, because you have to claim, put your stake in the ground. That's who you are. That's what you're doing. That's what you want to be known for. People will search for those terms in LinkedIn, in Google, etc. So the identity piece, my tip here, and when I do this with a PowerPoint, or if you look at my Instagram, I have an image that says, be a the. Be a the. So when you introduced me, you were like, Natalie Cutler-Welsh from New Zealand. She is the Up Your Brave coach and connector. And that's because I call myself the Up Your Brave coach and connector, which means, so what that does is it passes the eyebrow test. Jamie Tardy, the eventual millionaire, she's so awesome. Yes. I remember once, many years ago, she interviewed someone and they talked about the eyebrow test, and I always use it and I always reference it back. So when I say, oh, I'm a business coach or I'm a wellness coach, you're like, oh, cool. But when I say I'm the Up Your Brave coach and connector, you're like, you lean in, your eyebrow goes up. You're like, oh, what do you mean by that? Well, what's Up Your Brave, right? And so it intrigues. And so I want to encourage any other business owner, be a the. Don't just be a speaker, be the speaker on whatever. So I've got a client I'm working with at the moment. She's a parenting person, parenting specialist. Well, she talked a lot about the 3 F's and freedom and fun and other things that started with F. And so she said, oh my gosh, I am the freedom finder for parents. And I was like, yes, you are. So there you go. It's so That's powerful awesome. If you can be a the. That's tip number 1. That's the I, which is intention and identity.
Awesome.
You ready for M?
Yes. And is this all under 1, or are these the steps by number? Like, is this number 2? M is the 2?
This is number 2. So number 2 is M, which is like we're doing the acronym IMPACT. So it starts with M, which is what is your message? And so again, coming back to what is your message? So when I wrote my parenting book, and it's called If Only They Told Me. And I guess part of our message is, we're not the experts. We're the best friends you never knew you had. That was part of our phrase that we used to say at the end of all our podcasts and things like that. But so but that's not my message anymore, right? So I don't really wear the parenting expert hat. I've kind of moved into business. And of course I talk about parenting and juggling work and family, but it's not my pure joy area.
Right.
So revisiting, what is your message? Is it current? Like now in today's climate, in this new economy that we're in, does your message reflect what people actually want? I just think it's such a great time to look at your branding with fresh eyes and look at your tagline or the quotes that you're using, and make sure that your message is still accurate with what you want to be doing and what you're an area expert in.
Absolutely. That's very important, especially with everything going on, because when COVID started, for example, I'm in real estate here in Houston, and a lot of people send those, monthly mailers. Hey, we buy houses cash. We'll buy your house no matter what. And the messaging's kind of changed, because now it's like people don't want you in their home, really. They're trying to stay, distant. So you have to change the message and say, hey, we can, look at a Zoom call and see your house, or FaceTime. We don't have to visit in person. We can give you an offer over the phone, that kind of thing. So that ties into changing the message. Very
totally.
important.
And, we can't have message really without mission. So message and mission often go together. So I'm going to put 2 for the price of 1 on the M here. So again, revisiting, your mission. Like I used to want to save 1 million marriages. Like I was all about, no one tells you how hard it is when you have kids. But I'm like, actually, I don't want to be a superhero. I don't want to like save people's marriages. I want to empower them to save their blinking own marriage. So, but again, that's not my mission. My mission at the moment is to massively raise the state of resilience, health, and happiness in New Zealand and on a global scale.
Awesome.
Now, I kind of like really honed in on that just as COVID was kicking off in our first lockdown. And I launched a series, which is an interview series called Up Your Brave, which is my topic I love to talk about. And I did that because I as the go-to girl, I'm a coach and I'm a connector. I know all these people who have so much knowledge and expertise in the area of mental health and wellness and fitness. And I was like, I'm going to interview these people. I'm going to bring them together on a free live stream because we've got some really bad statistics here in New Zealand. And I know we do internationally with mental health and suicide and all the things. So I'm like, if I can use my area of genius, which is shining the light on people and helping people to spread their message so that we can collectively help people to raise the state of resilience, health, and happiness, let's do it. So for me, it's that's my mission with my 3 businesses. I've got my parenting business, my business, and then of course I have a doTERRA business, which is essential oils, which is the wellness side, mindset and being resilient of what I help people with as well. So I kind of bring those 3 businesses together under that same mission and that same message. So I want to encourage your listeners to do the same. Revisit, what is our mission? Is that something we wrote 5 years ago and we haven't looked at? Is it something that is still accurate, but we never talk about it? Like, put it out there. That is one of the ways to raise your visibility, is to not just talk about your product or your program, talk about your why, your mission.
That's very important. And a lot of entrepreneurs, I'm speaking for myself because I am one of the fly by the seam of my pants type of person. It takes hearing something 10 times for me to finally sit down and do it and implement it and make it happen. And so I help a lot of clients, buy or sell houses or people out of distressed situations. But the thing is, I don't really even have a message or a mission, really. It's like I need to define that. So I need to sit down and say, hey, what do my clients need and what do I want to be for them? Because right now it's kind of like, I guess I'll help you with this transaction. So very good advice. And I'm glad I'm taking all these notes down. So M is for message and mission. Yeah. Double and I can't wait to hear what you come up with for your be the. Yes, for my be the. And I did that recently too. I embraced it. When I thought about it when I put podcaster in my LinkedIn, right? I finally embraced it because for the first 2 years I did the podcast, I was like, I have a podcast, but I don't see myself as a podcaster. Wow. And now I embrace it. Like you said, I stopped caring about what my previous coworkers thought in my corporate role because they all knew I quit my job to pursue something crazy. And I just put it out there, hey, I'm a real estate expert in Houston and I'm a real estate podcaster, or actually a podcaster. I don't talk about real estate on my podcast, but I embraced it. And the downloads keep increasing and I keep getting great guests such as yourself on here. And hey, now I'm a podcaster, Yep. Claim no one gave me the title. Stake in the ground. Yes. I gave it to myself. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Well, that leads me so nicely into the next, which is number 3, which is P. Now P is for your profile and also presenting. So your profile, like you said, you updated it. You were finally like, I'm putting podcaster in my LinkedIn profile. Yes. Also, by the way, in your Instagram bio. So make sure if you're going to claim it in all the places where you're showing up. I'm sure you did that. So profile is obviously, in terms of visibility, update your profile photo. If it's something from 5 years ago, or you've got sunglasses on, or you're holding a child, like that is not really the look we're after, unless, of course, you are like a parenting person or you're selling sunglasses. So really just look at your profile with fresh eyes. Look at your personal profile on Facebook, because when you engage in groups, that's what's going to come up, that image of you, and the little bio blurb beneath you is what's going to come up. And so make sure it says what you want it to say. A lot of people, it's like hashtag missed opportunity. So many people, they're engaging in groups, they're putting amazing comments, they're really being helpful and friendly. But when I hover on their page or even click through, it doesn't even mention, you don't know what they even do. You don't even know what they do. It's a missed opportunity. So that's a really easy one for visibility for people. It's literally like a 5-10 minute job. If you don't have a photo, maybe it's time for a photo shoot, or just get your kids to take a pic or do a selfie, because it doesn't have to be perfect, but it just needs to look like you. Because if someone sees you on LinkedIn, they connect with you, and then they try to go and, if you can, have a meeting at a cafe with you, they would just walk right past because you don't even look like that anymore. Right, right. I know a lot of people in the real estate industry are notorious for that. They have a 20-year-old picture on their business card, and you're like, oh,
No.
yeah, I didn't even recognize you, that type of thing. But also going on what you said, I think I remember hearing a statistic about dating profiles like Match.com, for example. Even if you have a picture that's not super flattering of yourself, the chances of someone connecting with you are much higher than if you don't have any picture at all, because that kind of screams, fake account, not a real
Yes.
person, kind of a creepy person who just has a profile to look at, other accounts. So picture, profile, and presentation, super important for sure.
Super important. So the other part of profile, of course, is the in terms of real estate. Prime real estate on your business Facebook page is that cover photo, the banner on top. Same thing with LinkedIn. So make sure that you do proper size photos. You can use canva.com, which is free.
Great resource.
But even when people land on your page, in a blink, they're going to judge, right? They're going to be like, what's this person about? Are they for me? So make sure that if you have a photo, you can add maybe you add your mission or your message or onto the actual image. Like on mine, if you go to me on LinkedIn, it'll say something like up your brave, amplify your impact. And so it has some of my buzzwords. It's kind of intriguing. And then people can go and read on if they want.
Right. And another tip too that I've seen is in the cover photo, I don't think you can do this in LinkedIn, but on Facebook, you can add a description. So if people click on it, they can see the description. And I usually see people will have a link to
Yes.
a Facebook group or page, because if someone clicks on that, they're interested, and then they can read more, and then they can click to connect and join a group or something like that as well.
Exactly. So you can update that button. If you have a Facebook group, you can get them to join it. Or if you have a free download, you can put the link there. But also, like Chris, you're mentioning, it's wasted opportunity if you don't fill out that description.
Right.
Because when you update your cover photo on Facebook, for example, it goes out, has way more organic reach than just any photo that you happen to post in your timeline. So if you do go to the trouble of creating something and posting it, by all means, go and add a blurb and a link, call to action to go with it. And that's going to be super powerful for you.
Absolutely. And I know a lot of people have that mental block of, oh, it's personal, I'm going to make a business profile page. But if that's your career and you embrace it, like you said, I mean, your personal page and what you do, those are the same thing, and a lot of your clients, a lot of your customers may come from people you already know. So I feel like the people who are kind of hesitant to put the sales message and the marketing and the link out there, they probably should rethink that, because like you said, it's missed opportunity.
Totally agree. I have this phrase that I use, which is care what you think more.
That's so powerful.
And it really goes, and I have 3 children. I empower them to have the same belief, which is, of course I care what other people think, like their opinions and what they think of me. Of course I do. But you know what? I actually care what I think more. I think that's really, it's not coming from a place of ego, but empowerment. And I think you did exactly that when you came out the gate and you were like, you know what my colleagues, my previous coworkers might think I'm crazy, but I'm putting podcaster on my LinkedIn profile. So It's the same thing. It's like, you know what, I actually care what I think more. And so same thing with posting about your business on your personal page. It's like, those are your potential cheerleaders. Yeah. Those are your potential clients or referrers. So not all the time, but certainly now and then in a kind of friend type tone, you might do some comment about like a win in business or something that you're working on at the moment with a link. And I say, of course you care what other people will think, but you actually care what you think more, because if you're strongly connected to your mission, you're going to care what you think more.
That's extremely important to understand. So everyone listening in the audience, play that back, listen to the last 30 seconds to a minute again, because we all get so caught up in caring about what other people think. I've been reading a couple of books recently that had said, stop worrying about what other people think. Imagine the inner chatter in your head that's always talking to you and telling you, you can't do that, you're not good enough, this and that. If you took that voice out of your head and put that as a person on the couch, that person would sound like insane and you wouldn't want to be friends with them, right? So we need to understand that we're capable of more than we think, embrace that. And so we've done the I, the M, and the P, and now we're on to the A, the 4th step. Yeah.
So the 4th step is actually affiliates. And so we can use the word, I just said other people might be cheerleaders for you. Well, having, especially in this new economy where some people are thinking, oh, I don't want to be salesy, I don't want to be pushy, people don't have money right now. It's like, not really. Some people have tons. Some people are really thriving. Other people are really struggling. But you know what? It doesn't mean you can't help people. We're not salespeople, we're helping people. So I always remind people that, we're in business. Every business is selling either love, money, or health. And I'm lucky I get to sell all three, which is totally amazing. And when you think of it like that, you don't feel so pushy because you're like, actually, I am selling love, money, or health, or a combination of those. But in terms of the affiliates, you don't have to be the only one raving about yourself. Who is it who has a similar audience, but a different offering that may want to partner with you and either do a cross promotion shout out, like, I'll tell my audience about your upcoming webinar. If you tell them about my product or whatever, great, like a pinky promise, happy.
Right.
Or you have like an actual affiliate arrangement where if you email your list or you do a Facebook Live about someone else's product, for example, this gratitude journal, or, something that's relevant to your audience, you need to genuinely love it. It needs to be relevant to your audience. But if you tell your audience about that, and a few people click the link and buy it, and you get some, I call it thank you commission, TYC, you get some thank you commission. I mean, how great is that? What a win-win. That person didn't have to spend the money on marketing or Facebook ads. They just got someone like you to talk about their product. So spin the table and think, who do you know or know of who has a similar audience, but a different offering to you, and that might want to become, a raving fan, or maybe just once a quarter, they might want to email their list for you when you've got a launch coming up or a new product or a webinar. You might shoulder tap them and be like, hey, I've got this, thing coming up. Would you love to tell your list? I'd be more than happy to give you some thank you commission in return. So that's just, that's something that a new area for some people, and for some people, it's something they've been doing for a long time.
Right. That's very important. And I know there's systems and things in place that you can also implement to give out specific individualized codes. And that way it makes it easier to track. I have a friend who has a startup and he doesn't have that yet, but he's got a generic link and he's like, well, let me know if you send it to someone and then I can try to track it to them. And so it becomes a lot more difficult to manage if you're not using a system. But I know even less, not on the software side, but more on the services side. For example, me being in real estate and then mortgage lenders, a lot of those are kind of text introductions. Hey, here's my primary lender that I use. Please reach out to them. So a lot of those relationships, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be a quick handoff, a quick warm introduction, and it'll go a long way because they can reciprocate.
Yeah, exactly. And I actually, as a result of that, I started something which I'll tell you about later on called Thank You Club, just for that reason, to make it easy for people. Yeah.
Thank You Club. Because, it's a win-win. I mean, you can help them. They've got an audience that maybe overlaps what your audience is as well. And the audience most likely wants what you both have to offer. So why not? Thank you.
All about the win-win, definitely. So that's the A. The next one is C, which you mentioned at the start. So that's connections. And so part of being visible is getting, like I said, getting in front of other people's audiences, getting on summits, getting on podcasts and that type of thing. And it is a matter of sometimes of putting yourself out there, or like, who do you know that knows someone? Like one of the things that I help people with to amplify their impact, because I'm such a connector, I know what's going on. I know things that are coming up. I love people and I just connect them. I go, this is a person who's got a summit coming up about wellness, and she might say to me, Nat, do you know any speakers that might be great? I've got 2 more spots. And I'll be like, yeah, let me hook you up. And so just being aware again of what your intentions are so that you can really connect with people and take opportunities or make opportunities happen to help head you towards where you want to go, but using connections, and I call it empowered connections, to do that. I have a whole session I do on LinkedIn, but long story short, you can go into LinkedIn and in the little search box at the top, you can just go, like, let's say with my essential oils, I wanted to connect with like Pilates instructors. I could literally go Pilates instructor Houston, and it would give
everybody
me
in Houston,
the
right?
1,800 or however many Pilates instructors that are in Houston, then I could go, and if they're a second connection, so that means they already know someone that I know, I can just literally go connect. Now I probably would go, like I would write a note and I'd be like, hey, I see that you do Pilates. That's amazing. I'm also in the wellness. I wouldn't go blah, 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 essential oils out the gate, but I would kind of state that I'm into wellness as well, which makes a reason for her or him to possibly accept my request and then possibly go and check out my LinkedIn profile. So step 1, make sure your profile is really good.
Yes.
And step 2, make these empowered connections. Go, who are my potential clients or customers, or who are my potential collaborators, and what niche are they in? and what geographic area are they in, and then go and search for them and make these empowered connections.
That's a really good tip, because I've had people reach out to me and it's sometimes the execution's not very good. They're like, they refer to something I'm not even working on anymore. I'm like, clearly you haven't even looked at what I do now, because the thing you mentioned was something I did 3 years ago, and I've pivoted since then. And then there's others that just have the copy and paste, like, hey, I think it'd be great to connect on LinkedIn. I want to send you this connection request. And then there's the people who do a really good job, like, hey, I just listened to this podcast. I thought it was really important about what you talked to so-and-so about on this topic. And I can tell that they actually listened to it. They didn't just read the description because they mentioned something specific. And I'm way more likely to actually connect with them because they seem like they're coming from a place of being genuine, right?
You're way more likely to accept their request, but also to engage. So if they went to the trouble of mentioning all those specifics, you'll probably write back to them rather than just accept, Right. That's the difference.
Absolutely. Awesome. So connections, and now we're off to
connections. And the last one is testimonials. I'm talking a lot about LinkedIn today. Mm-hmm. You don't have to do them on LinkedIn, but in LinkedIn, they have something called recommendations. It's their fancy word for testimonials. But I love it because it will automatically populate with that person's face, that person's little bio. So there's the credibility piece. And the other beautiful part about it is if you ask someone to recommend you on LinkedIn, that LinkedIn will first send you the draft and you approve it. So you might go, you might write back and say, hey, do you mind using the word coach instead of mentor? Thanks so much. And then it comes back to you, you approve it, and it's live. And so also from a credibility perspective, if someone has 5 or 10 or 20 recommendations, it's really impressive. And you don't have to be looking for a job. Like if someone's pitching to you, Chris, to speak on your podcast, you might go and look at their recommendations. If they only have 1 or 2 and there's nothing about speaking, you're probably less likely to say yes.
Right. That's a really great tip. And I need to work on that as well, because one thing, people do add the testimonials to websites, but I know it's always like fishy. Like, is this a real person? Is that a stock image? Is this a real testimonial? And then on the other hand, there's also the testimonials on Google Maps, or maybe on, a third-party website like, the MLS for real estate agents. And you can't filter it. If there's something that they say that you didn't really like, and it's like, oh, that didn't sound so good. It is what it is, right? So you have no say in what comes across. So I think that's extremely important that you're able to review it, make a recommendation, because those words really matter. Like you said, changing mentor to coach, was it?
Yeah. And so another little tip as well is if you have your phone and someone's given you a recommendation, you look it up and then you can screenshot it so it appears nicely, almost better than if you screenshot it on the laptop, just the layout. You screenshot it, you edit it so it doesn't have the amount of battery left in your phone on it. And then you can upload that image to Facebook or Instagram or your website, and you kind of do what I call a humble brag. And you're like, what an honor to get such a lovely review from my client who has now become such a good friend, blah, blah, blah. And then, so basically people can see that it's legit. It's not something you just made up, but you preamble it with some sort of embellished, humble brag comment. And I think that's a really good idea. And if people aren't putting testimonials out, at least I would say at least once or twice a month, that would be a total minimum. Just putting them out into your timeline, into your feed, to make it super easy, because it's not just bragging. People will see themselves in that other person. They'll be like, oh, that person's an artist. Oh, and they worked with that graphic design. Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should work with that person. So it's super important to put those not just have them, put them out there,
post them and share them
regularly.
Yeah. And I see a lot of my peers in my industry, they'll make something in Canva, so they kind of paste it into there, but that kind of ties into, yeah, sure, it could be real, but did they change a couple words? Is it actually the original? Versus here, you've got the credibility from LinkedIn, the little profile image, and people know that, it's from LinkedIn and they recognize it from the apps on their phone. And so it carries way more weight because, yeah, like you said, if someone sees that and they relate to it, oh, that person had a good experience and they relate, they consider themselves an artist or whatever it may be, they're way more likely to actually reach out. If they've been on the fence and they see that, it'll help, push them over the hump to actually reach out to you.
Yeah, exactly. You can even post them back in LinkedIn. Do a screenshot, post it back in LinkedIn.
And all the steps that you can actually save helps you get there faster. I have a separate camera, for example, and I always want to make content with it, but then it's on the SD card and I got to plug it into the computer and maybe edit it a little bit. It's so much faster, for example, just to use your phone, record a Facebook Live. It's out there. It's not perfect, but it's done and you got your message across. So same thing with this. It's removing the step of having to copy a review from somewhere, put it in Canva, make it look pretty. You're just cropping it and posting it without the battery percentage and all of that.
Exactly. But I also want to add in there, because you just reminded me, the power of video testimonials, right?
Yes.
So my friend Nikki, who I mentioned the gratitude journal, she said to me, "Hey Nat, you know, you love my journals. I'm just launching into America. You've got the Canadian accent. Can you shoot me a quick video?" And so I did a video. Literally, I was like, okay, face the window, got a nice outfit on, hold up the journal. Like, it was pretty impromptu. And I did this really 30-second thing. And then it was so easy. I just sent it to her in Facebook Messenger and I was done. So part of making video testimonials is making video testimonials easy for someone to give to you. So if you're at a live event, which I don't know if they're happening in your area at the moment, but set up a camera or give someone your iPad or your phone so they don't even have to figure out Dropbox or anything. And they can just they can just do it or have it on a tripod. They just do it then and there off in the corner, and then you've got it and you can take it from there. So video testimonials are amazing, but also LinkedIn, recommendations that you can then place in other places. They're super powerful too.
Yeah. And the thing with that too, I know a lot of people struggle with that. Well, some people don't like to get in front of video and they're shy and nervous and all of that. But if you just ask and you genuinely ask, "Hey, this would help me so much. Would you mind if I take a quick video?" They'll say yes. I had a seller. He was very quiet. I don't even know how he met me, honestly. He just reached out and I was like, "Sure, yeah, I'd love to help you out." And when we were at the closing table, I just asked him, "Hey, would you mind if I got a quick video testimonial?" He's like, "Oh, sure. What do you want me to say?" And I was like, and on the video, it's just, kind of moving around and shaking, but trying to stabilize it. I was like, and I said at the beginning, just say whatever you feel, say the truth. I don't want you to make anything up. And he's like, "You're very professional. It was great working with you. If anyone needs, a real estate agent, reach out to Chris."
Yeah.
He said what I would have told him to say if it was scripted, but I put him on the spot a little bit, but I told him it's okay if he says no, but they're not going to really say no. They had a good experience. It's a 20-second video. So, the worst that they can say is no, but it doesn't hurt to ask.
I think you're spot on, because if you do it in the heat of the moment, their comments are so genuine.
Yes.
Whereas if you got them to do it like a month later, they would be thinking more about what to say, how to say it. I think it's brilliant to seize the opportunity. And that's what we as entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs need to really do, is to do the IMPACT, but just take action. Like, action is the key to all of this. Yes. Implementation
and execution. I know ideas, a lot of people have ideas. They're a dime a dozen, but the execution is what really matters. And to give credit to where I got that idea, I actually got it from another interview. I interviewed a guy named Billy Jean as marketing. He does a lot of Facebook ads and marketing type stuff online. And he told me that, like, "Hey, next time you're at the closing table, just say, 'Hey man, you mind if I get a quick testimonial?' Pull out the phone." And I did it. I need to implement it into my process, because the last two I forgot to do. And then I'm, after the heat of the moment's gone, it's kind of too late. They're already gone. I don't quite have that peer pressure in a way for them to say yes. And so if you can get them there while they're in the moment and the emotion's real, your success rate will probably be like 80 or 90%, I would imagine.
Yeah. But at the same time, the ship has not sailed. You can still message them or
Yes.
say, "Hey, can you film something real quick on your phone and just shoot it through to me on Facebook Messenger," or sometimes email, depends how big it is. And they might do it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask. But I think your chances start to decrease the longer you wait, and they get busy, they forget about how they felt. Maybe they're like, "Oh, I don't even know if I'm really happy with how this turned out. This didn't go so well," or buyer's remorse or something, or someone's like, "You didn't get as great of a deal as you could have gotten," and maybe they won't leave a great review. I don't know. But that's really good tips. So impact, and again, just to recap for the listeners, I for intention or identity, M for message and mission, P for profile and presenting, A for affiliates, C for connections, and T for testimonials. I really love that. It's really easy to remember. I just wrote those letters down and those words, and I totally remember everything we just talked about. So
Awesome.
That makes it a lot easier to remember. Was there anything else you wanted to add to the impact piece, or anything else you wanted to elaborate on for our listeners?
Well, I think the one that we kind of skipped through was the presenting. So with the P, presenting just means present, whatever that means to you. So whether that means standing up in front of a room of people, whether that means doing a Facebook Live. I use the app StreamYard when I did my video series, which was great. So present in some way, whether you do Reels on Instagram, which just came out. But I talk a lot about the different zones that people end up in. So in terms of visibility, some people are in the disconnected zone where they don't really know what to do. They're not really sure. They're posting on Facebook, but they don't really have a plan. Other people are in the should zone where they're like, oh, I should start my own podcast. I should really write a blog. And I go, listen, if your energy is like this, that's a no, right? I'm wearing a jacket today. My jacket says love on the back. And one of my philosophies is if you don't love it, don't do it. So get out of the should zone, you guys. If you're saying the words just, need, and should all the time in your life or business, you need to get out of the should zone. You need to up your brave and move towards what I call the impact zone. So I'll tell you about that in a minute. And the third zone is a frustration zone. So if you're feeling super frustrated about your visibility, then maybe it's time to get some help, outsource to someone, hire a coach, take it off your to-do list. If it doesn't even meet, you might be going, I'm so frustrated because I don't know how to do, Zoom webinars. It's like, well, do you really need to do Zoom webinars, or do you just feel like you should? So coming back to your intention. So in terms of presenting, yes, presenting is really great, but make sure that it's something you want to do. Make sure you're talking about something you love talking about. So I have a free giveaway that I'll give you guys the link for. It's my 7 P's to 7 P's. It's my 7 F's to powerful presenting. And that it really covers the P part that I didn't dive into too much today. It's like the 7 things you need to do to present with purpose and power. And so it's just a free download. Like it's a 2-page PDF that people can check that out.
Awesome. And where can they access that? At your website, or is there a quick link that I can share?
Yeah, I'll send you through the link, but they can visit my website, nataliecutlerwelsh.com. It should be there. And also I'm happy to tell you about Thank You Club if we've got time for a little bit.
Yeah, we've got time. I'm free if you're free. We can talk about Thank You Club. I'm very interested to hear about that. TYC.
Yeah, TYC. So, so I am the Up Your Brave coach and connector, which means I help people to amplify their impact online, on stage when they can, and in the media. So a lot of my clients, I help them get, TV, radio, but I'm also kind of business coach meets PR agency meets confidence coach, speaker coach. So I do kind of those things. However, and which is great. And I have a program called the Amplify membership, which is a Facebook group, and people just pay monthly for group coaching, and it's really awesome. And so people can look at that. But what I want to talk about is Thank You Club, because it's really anyone in any niche that is open to a win-win-win. So a triple win. So Thank You Club is something I designed off the back of the COVID situation, where I'm thinking, wow, this is interesting. People are cautious. They're feeling nervous about promoting their business. They don't want to be salesy. Right. And I'm going, you guys, you don't need to be the only one telling everyone how great you are. Other people can spread the good word. And so Thank You Club was designed to help people give and gain referrals, and in return to receive what I call TYC, which is Thank You Commission or Affiliate Commission. And so the idea is that everyone in the club agrees, and they put their offer in. They go like, my offer is if someone books me for one-on-one coaching, I'll give 10% commission. If someone buys my online do-it-yourself digital program, I'll give 30% commission. So everyone has like a bio and a photo and their offer. And so you can go into the directory if you're a member and you can see it. I also do a weekly Zoom call. So I'm very much into people actually connecting, getting to know each other. It's come if you can, no problem. It's called the Friday. It's a happy hour, power hour once a week to basically just get to know other people in the group. So there'll be some people in the group that go, I don't really have a business, or I haven't figured out my offering, but I know a ton of people. And then there'll be other people that going, I just want to get customers for myself. And other people like me who go, I want to give referrals and get referrals. And my goal as the organizer is to make it super easy for people to have that otherwise awkward conversation about, hey, I want to refer someone to you, but can you give me a kickback, right? Make it super easy for them to do that. And my goal is for every member to make $1,000 a month at least as an added revenue stream to their business, to whatever they're already doing. They know that because they're a member of Thank You Club, which by the way is $10 a month, they or $100 for the whole year, they are making $1,000 a month just by being a member, connecting with those people, getting referrals or giving referrals.
That's a really good idea. And I know a lot of people have tried to implement some kind of happy hours or virtual Zoom calls. I remember when COVID just started off, everyone got on Zoom pretty fast. And of course,
Yes.
everyone's like, oh, I should have invested in more Zoom stock or whatever, because it just took off. Literally, everyone just started downloading and using Zoom. But I kind of almost got zoomed out in a way because some of
Yes.
them weren't, focused, and I didn't really know. And I jumped on a happy hour for a little bit with some people from my office or the team that I'm kind of a part of. And it was kind of just like, okay, there's no direction. Who's leading this? What are we talking about? And so I literally left within 20 seconds of that. So I think it's a really good idea that you have something organized and you've got a plan and you've got systems in place to make sure people can actually connect and get over the awkward ask of, hey, if I send you someone, will you actually give me a kickback?
Totally. Everyone that shows up, and of course they don't have to show up, but they show up, they get to say, hey guys, so this is what I'm working on this week, or this is what's coming up. I love it. I've got a webinar. And I always say, tell them what to do and make it easy. So I'm like, tell us what to do and make it easy. So we're not here just to be networking. We're here to connect and to know, like, how can we help you? And also to get to know a little bit about it. So what I'm going to do is theme them as well. So one specific week, it'll be, we're going to hear from 3 wellness people today. And next week, we're going to hear from marketing people. So if you don't think that you want to refer marketing business, then you don't need to go to that particular one. So it's really cool. And of course, in the Facebook group, people can do videos, or I can interview some people just to help draw out their personality, their offerings, their message, and then of course make it really easy, helping them set up affiliate links if need be, or helping them get the templates or the dialogue to make those connections that can turn into cash.
And that also allows them to see who would be a good fit, because I do have a lot of people approach me, for example, and they're like, hey, I want to give this to your client or sell this. And I'm kind of like, well, it doesn't really benefit me, and my client can just shop for that stuff on their own. So I don't
Where's
really,
the win?
Yeah, I'm like, where's the win? I don't see, even if you give me $100 gift card, it's like, it's just too weird because my client can already do that research by a quick Google search. And so you're allowing and enabling people to pitch their value, show where, how easy it can be, and then maybe even have the system in place to actually make the referral, whether it be, I don't know, a submission in a form or a group text or whatever it is. Because otherwise I'm like, what do? I don't want to give you their number because then it's going to be weird and they're going to be mad at me, right? That kind of thing. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but as a millennial, I'm like, oh, why are people calling me? And I'm in the wrong business for not wanting to be talking on the phone all day.
Yeah,
right.
I know.
So
I think the difference is everyone in the group is on the same page. That's
exactly. Yeah. And since you have the game rules or the rules of the group in general, people can understand those and respect them. Instead of trying to force a certain way or method that others wouldn't be comfortable with.
Yeah. Awesome. So I will follow up. I'll give you the link. It's actually thankyouclub.co.nz or upyourbrave.com/thankyou. You can find it 2 ways. And also, I'm more than happy to offer your listeners, I've got a free 30-minute impact strategy assessment. Okay. So coming back to the visibility for people that are sitting there going, I really not should, but I want to be more visible, or I'm ready. This is empowered languaging in the impact zone. Yes. I'm ready to be more visible. I just don't know what to do. Then I do a free 30-minute Zoom call, which I also have a questionnaire, and they score themselves out of 30 in terms of their own visibility. And then we just look at what are some ways that they can really amplify their impact. So I'll give you the link for that too.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, if you don't mind, you can just email me all the links and I'll make sure to include them on the show notes and on the YouTube video. And then our audience can definitely go reach out to get the free guide and to connect and learn more about the Thank You Club, as well as get access to that 30-minute session, because that's very important. And like you said, their language is extremely important. I find myself, and I try to catch myself, like right there, I try not to use the word try. It's like, I'll try to do that means, I'm not really going to do it. Instead of that, you have to say something like, I will do that, or I will do my best. Because try and I hope it works.
I intend, I aim. More powerful.
Exactly. Language is very powerful. Well, Natalie, that was an amazing interview. Impact, that you definitely left a lot of impact for my audience today with that message. And I really hope some people in the audience go and reach out and connect with you, because that is a great offer, a great opportunity for them to learn from someone who, talks the talk and walks the walk.
Amazing. Thank you so much for having me. And I really hope people go and, up your brave, say what you want, and make it happen, you guys. That is what it is about. Yes.
So everyone listening, up your brave. Don't worry about what other people think. Think care more about what you think more than what others think about you, like
Yes.
Natalie mentioned. So Natalie, thanks once again. We'll stay in touch, and I'll keep an eye out for the email with those links.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you.